Staff, who is a 4-star general. And I can assure you that the salary of a private in the U.S. Army is almost twice the salary of the Chief of Defense Staff, Nigerian Army. Yes.
Okay, are we looking at it based on the fact that our naira is weak and converting in dollar, or the value of it?
The value in dollars. We convert it down to dollars, convert it to naira. A private in the U.S. Army earns average $24,000 per annum. The Chief of Defense Staff salary is less than 2 million naira per month. Do the mathematics.
Yeah, math doesn't look nice at all from this end.
Yes. So, it's something that needs to be looked into. You cannot expect them to put in there, but there is no best to be put in. It's not just about even their welfare, even their service personnel. Let me tell you, soldiers share accommodation. Officers, not even officers share accommodation. Officers in the Nigerian Army, they share accommodation. We don't have adequate accommodation for officers, not to talk about soldiers. Is that bad? Salaries are not good enough. So we need to do a lot. Then, of course, talking about equipment, talking about what they require to do this job. So it's an issue. So I don't know why our politicians don't think that they need to prioritize not just the welfare, but even their own security by providing them the required enablers to fight this war, to keep us secure, to keep us safe. They also need security for them to be able to provide us with security. The feeding allowance for soldiers in a day in operations, even in the theater of war in the Northeast, is 1,500 naira per day, not per meal, per day. 1,500 naira, 1,500 for the whole day. It wasn't 1,000, it was larger like crazy to 500 naira to eat. So how do you feed a man with 1,500 naira a day and going to fight against insurgents? So these are the issues. And it must be looked into. We must prioritize this, especially if a country is at war. We must prioritize the welfare, the remuneration, and the motivation of soldiers, officers and men of the Nigerian forces. We need to fight this war and restore normalcy. It is poor. Something that nothing to write home about. Honestly, there's nothing to write home about. It's that bad.
Well, I hope it's a day for some of these things to be pushed forward and reconsidered again.
Themselves to actually engage with the political leadership of this country on these issues. You can't pay soldiers this amount of money and expect them to put it there, but it's not possible. It's not.
Like you pointed out, given the fact that we're smack right in the middle of, well, technically, some kind of guerrilla warfare is going on in the internal way.
Insecurity here and there. So something needs to be done, and I hope that today will be that day that will generate this conversation about the need to do something. It's a very serious issue. Very serious. Then again, you also need to restructure, the armed forces. What I mean restructure. You see, there's something that I've observed too. Not just the armed forces, but even across the board. When you are a rank and file soldier in Nigeria, it seems you are condemned to eternal servitude. That's why that man is saying, I would not advocate for my own. And it's also in other climes. I'll give you an example. In the US Army, for instance, your salary rises with your years of experience, no matter the rank you occupy. So it is usually the case that a sergeant in the US Army, for instance, who has risen to maybe our own equivalent of RSM, which is like, or warrant officer, which is like one of the highest positions in the rank and file cadre of the Army or the armed forces. If such a soldier has spent, say, 30 years in service, be rest assured that his or her salary will be equivalent to an entry-level brigadier general in the U.S. Army. You know what that means? It means that you are a rank and file soldier does not mean you are condemned to eternal poverty, servitude, or slavery. No, there's dignity in that labor, because without the rank and file, you can't have the officer cadre. And so what it means is, even if you're a sergeant, a corporal, whatever you are, as long as you're putting in your best and your years in service is increasing, your salary is adjusted upwards. So a lot of rank and file people receive higher pay than officers that are just freshly trained from West Point and entered into the Army. That's it. And if you are fortunate to acquire an extra degree, well, somebody once told me a story that he went to study. He's a general in Nigeria, he went to study in the US, and then one of the instructors that was teaching them was a rank and file soldier, a corporal who has a PhD. And so he now asked, why didn't he enlist into the officer cadre? I mean, having a PhD. I said, he doesn't need to enlist. That as a corporal, his salary is scaled up to his PhD status. So he earns more than your colleague in this. Earn more than PhD. This is how you encourage the of labor. People will not. There will be no hustle and bustle about crossing to the officer cadre because you are comfortable.
You're comfortable and content.
Very comfortable. You live in decent houses. You can live the good life. That is supposed to be. And the same thing with officer cadre. Let me tell you, in the Nigerian army today, an officer of the rank of a major general, strictly relying on his or her salary, cannot actually afford to take a mortgage for a decent 3-bedroom apartment in the fairly decent area in Abuja. Can't afford it. These are issues. And how do you expect such an army to be able to fight and defend the country that the political leadership has made a mess of? Because most of the problems we are facing is that poor governance structure has resulted into motivated and multi-layered areas of insecurity. So it's like the political leadership is creating more problems than this one can even solve. And yet nobody is doing enough to make them comfortable enough to fight this war. So these are the issues we need to look into. But thankfully, they are a disciplined, organization.
Obey before complain.
They are very disciplined. I just when I look at an average soldier and his work ethic, I don't say that Nigeria is lucky, fortunate to have the kind of armed forces we have. They are disciplined. They put up, the right posture and mien in public. You won't even know they're going through the challenge I'm telling you now. Because, I don't know, because of their training, they are trained to just shoulder on, without necessarily, coming across as pitiable. So, but that does not mean that their lot can be improved beyond what it is now. So I hope that today, with that day, we'll have that conversation.
Indeed.
Around the welfare
of
our officers and men of the armed
forces. All right, we'll lend our voice to that call and appeal that something should be done to ensure they get better compensation for their service to country at the end of the day, particularly when we're going through a very, very interesting and security situation in the country at the moment. All right, let's look at the next story, Dr. Majeed. I remember the president in his New Year message talking about driving down inflation rates and all of that. He seemed pretty optimistic. But I don't know, if he sees this figure that inflation is still rising, it might give him sleepless night. The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's inflation rate was 34.80% in December, up from 33.60% in November, and the data captured in MBS's Consumer Price Index reports published on Wednesday. MBS said the inflation rate in December rose marginally by 0.20 percentage point, while compared to that of November 2024. Due to the festive period, increase in demand for goods and services perhaps might be what's responsible for it. And then they looked at the year-on-year basis. The headline inflation rate was 5.87% higher than the rate recorded in December 2023, 28.92%, the Bureau said. So that's looking at the inflation rate. When we look at food inflation itself, they're saying food inflation dropped 39.8%, that the food inflation in December was 39.84% on a year-on-year basis, compared to 33.93% recorded in December. Did it drop or did it increase in 2023? MBS said the rise in food inflation on a year-on-year basis was caused by increase in prices of yam, watermelon, water yam, and sweet potatoes. And they listed quite a few of other grains that was responsible for it. I don't know if my eyes seen double, but there was an increase in inflation, in this food inflation, that is. Let's go on a quick break.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk. right, we're still here looking at the big stories of the day and talking about the state of the economy, looking at the inflation rate that has gone up, general inflation and food inflation for December 2024 rose. Remember that the president in his New Year message said he was going to bring down inflation to 15% from what it was as at when he gave it broadcast at that point in time. So it's gone up a bit in December, and these things don't respond to just rhetoric. So is it about it will go up before it comes down? Because sometimes, you watch this graph and the economic of things, and then it goes up and it dips at the end of the day. But then we need to have tangible things on ground to effect that at the end of the day. It's not just good by spoken words.
There is nothing in the plan. There is nothing on ground. There is nothing in the budget that is going to bring down inflation. Absolutely nothing. So when the president talks about bringing down inflation, I wonder what he's really talking about. And why am I saying this? What is causing inflation in Nigeria? What are the causative factors? Or let's also be different. What is inflation in the first place? Rising cost of goods and services, right? What is pushing up the cost of goods and services in Nigeria? Cost of production. What is pushing up the cost of production primarily in Nigeria? Cost of energy, diesel, petrol, and of course foreign exchange. These are the three major factors, or two rather, energy and foreign exchange, essentially. Then if you now add interest rate, because I don't know how a CBN, a monetary authority such as we have in Nigeria, will not understand that what we have in Nigeria is not a case of demand pull inflation. That should make you not tighten monetary rates in order to slow down demand and correct the inflationary trend. I do not know how our monetary authority do not understand that they have no role to play in this kind of inflation. It is a physical matter. It is for government to take a decision on how to bring down the cost of production. And so they kept increasing interest rates, which has increased cost of production, because if, as a producer of bread, for instance, I take a loan at almost 30% interest rate, and I buy petrol at the current rate, and I buy diesel at the current rate, and I buy foreign exchange from a foreign component at the current rate, how on earth is the bread going to sell for less than the price it sold before all of these things went up? How is it going to happen? It's as simple as that. So for the president to convince me that, for instance, he wants to bring down the cost of inflation through the implementation of the 2025 budget, would be for me to see a budget provision for subsidy on energy.
Here we go again, Dr. Majeed.
It's as simple as that. Again, let me refer you to other jurisdictions. I'm coming to food issue, but let me just talk about the issue of inflation generally. America is battling inflation, right? Arising from cost of energy. And the government of America constantly is losing sleep over it and putting in place every measure to bring down the cost of energy. Now, it is feared that once Donald mounts the stage, it's going to remove every obstacle in the way of bringing down cost of energy in this country, including drilling or drillable without concern for environmental issues, just to make sure that the cost of energy in America comes down. Donald Trump dedicated the whole rally to talk about bringing down the cost of energy in this country as a basis for reduction of inflation. He spent an entire, it's like we went for a rally, and that was the only thing he was talking about. These are people who understand the nexus between energy cost and cost of production. Because energy, I keep emphasizing, is the oxygen upon which production actually survives. If there's a marginal cost in energy, it must affect production. And so every responsible government in the world, every responsible government in any responsible part of the world will always absorb cost of energy so as to maintain certain prices, especially at par or below affordability threshold of citizens. So in every other jurisdiction where you have this kind of inflation, what government will do is to impose subsidies on energy products and services that drives production. So for instance, in Nigeria, what really drives production in Nigeria, in absence of state power supply, is diesel for heavy manufacturing and petrol for SMEs and general logistics. These two. So any government of Nigeria that is interested...
I know that the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria has argued on that front, talking about energy, but looking at gas, fuel, and electricity itself.
So whatever it is that we use to produce If the cost is too high, there's no inflation can never come. This one is not something you can achieve. Therefore, what is government supposed to do? Look for ways of bringing down the cost of energy. It's a globally acceptable intervention to save an economy from the ravages of inflation. I don't know why Nigeria thinks it can be an exception. Now, there's no plan for that. They have subjected us to market forces for energy. And guess what? There's now an increase in the price of international price of crude. That has already affected the price of petrol. So the little one you saw in December has
I saw the statement yesterday from the depot, independent depot, whatever, talking about the price going up. Because...
Now, you still have the problem of foreign exchange.
Yeah.
You see, when they floated the naira, we warned that you don't float a national currency, but you can devalue a currency. You can deliberately fix it at a rate that is of even lesser value, but not what we floated. You cannot subject the value of a national currency to the dictates of market forces. It is suicidal. If you observe, whenever the value of naira is inching below 1.7 to the dollar, CBN will intervene. So you now ask, if you knew that intervention was necessary to keep exchange at a reasonable level, why did you float in the first instance? So they are trying to prevent from going to 2,000, because when you almost got to 2,000, you saw what happened to the economy. So they are controlling by all means. Meaning, if they had gone through their policy of rotation, by now the naira would have been at probably 10 to 20,000 to the dollar. You can imagine the cost of petrol.
What would they have done differently? Devalue it? Because to keeping it at the rate where it was felt like it wasn't the smart,
you see,
monetary direction.
Two things to be done. Two things. If you observe, importation has dropped. Demand for dollar for importation has dropped drastically to the extent that for the first time in a long while, Nigeria is exporting more than it is importing. Because people are no longer able to import. Those that are doing legitimate business can no longer import. Because as you are bringing in your goods and services imported, before you go to the next market again, you need more money to buy, because there would have been a marginal increase again because of foreign exchange differentials.
Isn't that a good thing? That we're exporting more than we're importing?
Okay, now it would have been a good thing if it was as a result of a deliberate government policy that increased production at home and have import substitution. We're having as a depressed economy where the things you need, you can't even import because you don't have the money to import and people can no longer afford such goods and services. So what you are still exporting are the same old things you're exporting, raw materials. So the importation of finished goods are so reduced that raw materials export have now exceeded it. Not that we have increased any export in vehicles, in finished goods, in electronics. No. So it's a very serious problem. Now, if you look at the foreign exchange regime as it stands now, it's not sustainable for economic productivity at all. And so, people are no longer importing. But the question is, why are we still facing pressures on the naira? Who are those people demanding for dollars that are not importing, but there's still high demand for dollars? It brings us to the question of corruption and the penchant for the dollarization of transactions in Nigeria these days. You see, there's no economy that can have this kind of open foreign exchange market that you can walk into any street and change money and not have the kind of problem you're having in your foreign exchange regime. It's not possible.
I mean, didn't we have the parliament debate on this and we're proposing a bill to end that?
The members of parliament they are talking about... Okay, let me laugh. I like the way you laugh, so I'm sure. Let me not go. Let me just stay with that laughter. Now the question is, I keep talking about the need to commit class suicide and fight corruption thoroughly. So I can tell you for free that what is driving exchange rate now to naught is not legitimate demand for trade and importation. It is corruption. It is corruption that is driving the demand for dollars. Simple and short. Nothing more than that. So the question is, what is the government doing about this? Well, if you look at our political class these days, from power election to
I need to just state this clearly for those who haven't heard this, but that the Senate is advancing a bill to ban foreign currency use in Nigeria.
Let the political class, well, most of them are in the National Assembly, start by not accepting or using foreign currency.
Perhaps a legislation will force their hands at that point
You
to
see,
do
what
that.
I'm saying is, since they are in the position to legislate, let them start first. Because beyond legislation, it has become a culture in the political class. Primary election, it is dollars, both at the state and at the center. During voting, just look at, it's just dollarization all through. So, as the next election is approaching, people are already stockpiling and converting naira to dollar to prosecute the next electoral warfare. And the government cannot tell me that they're not aware of this. Look, if you go to South Africa, there are many South Africans that will live and die at 100 years old that have never seen the dollar before. Before you can change money in that country, your passport too, the kind of process you go through.
I know, because I know the trouble the last time I visited. No shop. It was as if I came with one virus. Like, no, go there and change it up. I had to walk into a bureau d'assurance kind of bank, queued up, and did the exchange, got my passport and all of that information before I could go in the mall. But none of them agreed to touch my money.
It is not the case in Nigeria.
Nah, not at all.
So we need to solve that artificial cultural problem. It's artificial, but it's a cultural problem. We need to solve it. If we're able to solve it, the Naira may make some level of reasonable recovery. When that is done, you can now do proper foreign exchange management that cannot appropriately exchange the Naira for dollar at a rate that is not harmful to both importers and exporters. At a stand, it's very harmful. And even though they are struggling to keep it at this rate, if they had allowed it to free float as they had envisaged, we would have been in Zimbabwe by now. So we need to look into this other issue. And again, I keep saying that I'm not seeing a strong effort towards the war on corruption by the current administration. This is one of his weakest points. I don't see it. I don't feel it. Even though one would say, do you really expect them to fight corruption, given the way the political process has been run since 1999? But I keep insisting that comes a time in the life of a country when even those that are benefiting or privileged from the rot will say, look, to save what was left of this country, can we just do the right thing? And that is the decision that we are expecting them to take. And they've not taken it yet. Otherwise, we don't have problem with our foreign exchange so much as, we are trying to make it look. This is the real issue. Now, to tell you how important energy is, Governor Zulum, for example, is proposing to subsidize petrol in his own state for farmers. He said he's going to sell petrol for 600 naira to them so as to reduce inflation arising from cost of input into agriculture. So if a governor is thinking along this line, why does the government think that inflation can come down through any magic? I said they want to bring a figure tomorrow. That is not realistic. But if it is what we are facing today, how do you expect inflation to come down? If petrol price increases today, diesel increases, and the foreign exchange depreciates more than this, how are you going to bring inflation?
Yeah, no, it's a curious one because I know that the president in his New Year message did even, imply that the price of gas, the price of petrol was going to go down. How that economic theory will come together.
How is he going to bring it down without his intervention?
I am a layman economist.
Now, let us go back to the food issue. Let me also tell you this, my dear Oracle. You see, I don't know of any civilized clan from North America, which is America, US, and Canada, to Southeast Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, to Middle East, Arabia, North Africa, South Africa, then of course the entire Europe, including UK. I do not know of anywhere in any of these jurisdictions where food is sold at market rate. I don't know. I don't know of any. Every government in the world, reasonable government for reasonable people, subsidizes food. Food must not be sold at market rate. It's something we've not talked about enough in Nigeria. Food is usually heavily subsidized. That's why, for example, in the US, you can't find people that are hungry in the US. It's not possible. You can find people homeless, you can find people destitute, but you see food, it's not possible. Why else will have a problem of obesity? Too much food. In the UK, you can complain of cost of living, gas, cost of housing, cost of whatever. But there's one thing you can never complain of it. Nobody in the UK can complain about it. Food. Because the government of UK subsidizes food. Because man must work. It's like, that is the basic element of existence.
So the removal of VAT and the duties on imported food does not count at this point because nobody pays VAT on food.
It shouldn't have been there in the first place. Then secondly, from planting From land preparation to planting to harvesting to processing to storage to distribution, government must subsidize the entire value chain. It is government responsibility. So ordinary we shouldn't have food inflation anywhere in the recent part of the world. No, food shouldn't inflate. Government must always work to keep down the price of food. It's a key responsibility. It is called food security. But in Nigeria, you have the double jeopardy of buying food at market rates, and the rates or the price of food will keep going up because you have also deregulated the price of energy. Meaning the energy that is required to produce food is also dictated by market forces, mostly external. I'm sure you're wondering why Nigeria is refining petrol, and we still talk about the international price of crude, right? From NNPC to Dangote to Aradel to Walter Smith, they buy crude from whoever is selling crude to them in dollars. Both are two men abroad.
I thought we had that agreement with Dangote that it was going to be sold in Naira. There was
it's only Dangote that was given that privilege.
Who else refines for now?
Even that is faltering. Dangote is buying outside NNPC supply to buy feedstock for his refinery at the international market rate.
Well, he doesn't expect to buy at Naira at a concession, and then he takes it to South Africa or Ghana.
No, what I'm saying is, for example, if Dangote requires, say, 1 million barrels per day, just hypothetically speaking, what he gets from NNPC is not up to a quarter of what he requires. So he's buying from other sources in dollars and at market rate. Similarly, Dangote himself sells his products to his distributors in dollars. You want to buy product from Dangote, you have to put your LC in dollars. So the entire downstream sector of Nigeria, downstream, upstream and midstream, is dollarized because it is internationalized according to the PIA.
Wow.
So that is why any change in foreign exchange, any change in the market of price of crude will affect
the price of food.
Again, I do not know of any oil producing country that orients its internal markets in this direction. I don't know of any oil producing country. I don't know of any. Not even the United States of America. I keep making this point. You know what I call the United States of America? That's the headquarters of capitalism, right? That's the headquarters of free market enterprise. American free market does not extend to the energy market at all. Absolutely not. For electricity, US has one of the lowest tariffs in the world. How did that come about? For petrol, US has many ways of intervening in pricing.
But by lowest, are we looking at it from in terms of their earning, purchasing?
No. Real
strength.
time. No, real.
Because sometimes you hear some of them talking about bills they have to pay.
They can afford. It's called affordability.
Okay.
They can afford it. You see, they have a different standard. For us, we spend all of our salary plus borrow on food alone. The American does not spend that amount of money on food and other things. So whenever there is a slight increase in his budgetary expenditure for the month, and he triggers certain things in him because he's not able to save much and do other things and do leisure and go for his holidays. So his complaint is not existential in nature. It is like, I need more luxury out of my life. So I don't want the existential to eat into my luxury. That is the complaint they have. So it's a completely different world we're living in. Ours is existential. We're complaining of hunger. The money we are paid as salary cannot feed the family of 4 in a month. It's not practicable. Decent meal. In America, nobody earns a minimum wage. Even though it's $12.50 per hour, nobody earns a minimum wage. Everybody earns about a minimum wage. And these are for unskilled labor force. For skilled ones, nobody earns a minimum wage. They earn thousands of dollars, that is equivalent to millions of naira in Nigeria. And they're very comfortable. They use brand new cars. They can afford homes on mortgage and pay conveniently. These are things that are different. But in Nigeria, is there any category of Nigerian today, especially that are politically exposed, that can afford a mortgage on a brand new car of your choice?
I envy people who can actually afford a brand new car like Tia Leda. It sounds like
how many category of workforce in Nigeria today really
exactly
can actually afford it?
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, people like you and I that are journalists can afford it conveniently. In fact, Boris Johnson, former UK Prime Minister, earned more as a UK columnist than as a UK Prime Minister. Now he had to resign to say, look, let me
go back to my day job.
It's better than this thing I'm earning here. I earn more here. And I have 6 children to take care of, so I will be more comfortable being a journalist than being a prime minister.
All right, Dr. Majeed, let's get feedback from our listener. Olatunde Ibrahim, who is watching via Facebook, says, thank you very much, Dr. Majeed. Ferrali Oro Oiza. I'm sorry, I ruined that name. Honoroiza. Thank you, Dr. Majeed. Says the man is so intelligent. I love listening to him all the time. Yomi AB says, Dr. Majeed and Kim, the political class in Nigeria are lazy and indifferent to the plight of the people. They travel abroad and they know all of these things, but they don't implement it. Dr. Majeed is talking about. They know it. And let's quickly look at some of the comments on Facebook. Nathania Pilau says, greeting Dr. Majeed, Captain Dr. Nas. Pilau retired there. Good to know you're listening to us, sir. Ferdinand Ajapo says, Dr. Majeed, Kimberly, mine is just to greet you guys and to salute Dr. Majeed for his unbiased analysis at the time. In fact, it seduces any time I hear him speak. Wow, okay. Kim, could you please take off the headphone again? Feedback on the sound. Really? All right. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. Let's get to the full lines. Hello? Hello? Good afternoon.
My name is Adiola Victor from Bise Alagi.
All right, Adiola, you help us project a bit until we sort the issue with our phone line. It's a bit low, so just help us project.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes. I want to talk on the armed forces, remember, and the military. I want to sympathize and at the same time commend the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Sympathize is that some of our soldiers have paid the supreme price while trying to secure this country. And some are still moving forward to make sure that we have peace in this country, especially in the north, where these terrorists are really dealing with this country and shedding blood. You see, as a matter of fact, these people are trying for this country. And when you see how they are treated, especially the doctor has mentioned it in terms of salary and others, in fact, it's very, very bad. You see, what happened last year, especially at the Federal Ministry of in December last year, where you saw retired minister personnel protesting before they paid their retirement benefit. In fact, it was a big embarrassment on part of this country. And other small African countries around us are watching us. The other countries are watching us. You see, so I feel pained as a Nigeria. And those who are still serving, their salary is nothing to roam, it's nothing to write to home about. So it's very
all right, sir.
So the government should do something fast. You see, this is why
all right, sir.
They don't want to join the ministry.
Thank you very much. Let's hear another caller quickly. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Kim.
Good afternoon.
Glory be to God, I'm able to get you today. My name is Kedi. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I don't want to miss Wednesday because so much you have said that you have been saying. I know you have been saying this for years. But can I ask, has any government, right from Buhari when I started hearing you, has anyone reached out to you to have a compendium of all these laudable ideas that you have? Because it's not as if Nigeria is, in depth of advice, ideas, way forward solutions, and so forth. It's just that someone somewhere feels that the ears are so blocked that they cannot hear. If not, just an example that you have given about this removal of fuel subsidy, whatever the naira, food insecurity, is it that they don't know that this thing would take greatly on the lives of Nigerians to live at least a life that is worth living? Is it that they don't know? Like somebody just said now, they go abroad, they go to places, they know these things, but when they come back home, the opposite is the case. So, sir, have they reached you at all? I wish they reach you. And be available to them, sir, even though I know that they can hardly listen because they don't have ears.
All right, sir.
Hardly listen because they don't have ears.
All right, sir.
Hello, afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, bros, over there.
Good afternoon, sir.
Kim, how are you doing?
Fine and well. Go ahead.
Prophet Michael, I always tell us, there is nothing that happens here. Take it or leave it. God made us, and He gave us His direction. There is nothing that happens in this world that have never happened in the spiritual realm. If we must solve our problems, we must connect with the spiritual realm to solve our problems in the physical. I'm not forcing any person on this. But people are dying. People are being consumed worldwide. And what is happening to us, including Nigeria? There is going to be more problems in 2027. There is going to be more problems. There is still going to be more problems in 2027. There is both that will take this problem out. There is both. And I am the both. Take care.
All right, let's hear another caller.
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, the Oracle. I greet you.
Welcome.
I want to talk about the energy cost that Dr. Majeed has been saying. And I hope the government will be listening to this. There's no how we can get food prices cheap with the high cost of energy. And another factor is the insecurity. We mentioned that it was on Sunday. Look at what Boko Haram did to the farmers in Borno. Over 40 of them were slaughtered by Boko Haram. So we are urging them, as we are talking about insecurity, the energy security too, to be involved in all these things. It should make sure how the prices of this energy are coming. Even the electricity tariff, the other day I talked about, they are increasing the electricity tariff quietly. Because I need to understand that the one that I used to charge for 5,000 and 10,000, I see the unit is still reducing every day. So these are the things. And how can you expect people to come and invest in this type of environment? They must provide that energy security that the government have been yearning, and the majority of Nigerians are yearning about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Selassie. Let's hear this caller quickly. Hello?
Hello, Kimo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, my sister.
Welcome to the show.
We don't work. Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. I'm speaking with you for the first time this year. This is Engineer Ola, anyway.
You're welcome.
You see, after the media chat of Mr. President, when he was saying that the market forces should decide, I was having an argument with somebody in one of these government office. I said that statement is a very, as in it tells you how, I normally tell you that our leaders, all these political leaders, they are lazy. They don't want to do anything. All they just want is to come on maybe on camera and say something and go to sleep and start traveling all over the world. So you are looking for investment. Sister Kim, you are here for Dr. Majeed. Which country, tell me, that all these international countries we are talking about that leave his goods and services for market forces? Can you tell me? I was telling you one day, Sister Kim, that there is something I heard from one country about, I think it was in 2022 or 2021. So one of my clients now require that same thing. My client from that place told me to go back to that price that he sent to me 4 to 3 years ago. That is still the same price. But if you are talking about that one in Nigeria, you...
Oh dear, your call dropped, didn't it? Well, let's... Oh dear. Well, let's hear another caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, welcome to the show. What's your name?
Yeah, Dr. Majeed, good afternoon. Happy New Year once again.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, my name is Ojo, the next president. Honestly speaking, I agree with you most of the things you have said, most especially on the issue of inflation. When Mr. President was saying that the inflation will reduce to 15%, I begin to wonder, are they going to do it? Because I cannot see any serious policy or effort on the ground that can make that into just jump from 36 point something that it is now to 50%. It's going to take a miracle. Because the thing that causes inflation, we all know it and we are saying it. But up to now, government has not done anything about it. Even reading the budget in the Mr. President New Year message, he did not even mention anything concerning that. which we all know that it is energy cost that has caused all this problem. And they have not said anything how they are going to reduce the price, most especially the price of petroleum that everybody is using in this country. So how is it going to reduce to 15%? I don't understand. Now, you can see what you said, sir, that our oil sector has been dollarized. Even if you want to buy anything from Dangote, local refinery, you are still going to pay in dollar. You can see what they are doing to themselves. But anyway, they're still, God will deliver us one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's look at some of the comments here, and let's start with the ones on WhatsApp. Charles Mbat sent in this one talking about Dr. Majeed is perfectly on point on the issue of new car, mortgage, comfortable life, etc. The forces fighting this country, centripetal and centrifugal, seem to have overwhelmed the leaders and the nation. The truth is that when the president talked about bringing down inflation this year to as low as 15%, I laughed. We know him well enough for all of these kind of talks. Maybe he thinks crashing inflation down is as easy as the way he was announced into power. Okay. Can someone please make me understand the impact of the working of Port Harcourt and Warri refineries on the lives of the common Nigerians so far? Gabrus from Lube is asking. Comrade Ode Tony Ngwarimpa says, Dr. Majeed, you're always on point. God bless you and your family. Plenty. Our leaders don't care about us. They lack vision, passion, and compassion. They're not pro-poor, pro-people, and pro-property. They have no regard for the people and the country. We need a visionary reformer to rescue, redeem, and restore Nigeria to peace, progress, and prosperity, is what he said. Dear Kim, you seem to be carried away by the going-ons at the National Assembly, where the very architects of dollarization of our economy are the very ones pretending to make laws for you. Have any hoi poi handled dollars this year? Who collects dollars from primary election? When we're serious enough, there will be a real change. The watch says the Patriot. The Nigerian military lacks the respect and honor it deserves in this country. It's disheartening to see those risking their lives for the nation receiving meager salaries, especially personnel of the other ranks. It's embarrassing and disgraceful. The government has failed to address the underlying problem facing the country. Instead, it's focused on short-term solutions, such as removing fuel subsidy, increasing taxes. These measures have failed to bring about meaningful change, as they only serve to further strain the already overburdened economy. The real culprit here are rampant corruption and mismanagement of resources. God bless Dr. Majeed. A country that doesn't subsidize food and energy will fail. Compliment of the season to the one and only Oracle. Wale Fatunla, thank you very much for that. Let's join Dorcas for the news.
Let's talk on 95.1
Nigeria Info.
Abuja.
This is Nigeria Info.